If you are a local business owner, this is the best way to get more leads right now. And most local businesses are relying on outdated strategies, things like word of mouth, SEO, cold outreach, and even networking events. But the real problem is that they have no predictable way to consistently get local leads, finding them every single day. And if you're struggling to get consistent clients, it's likely an attention issue. So as a business owner, what you need is more leverage. And social media lets you go from 1 to 1 to 1 to 100 or 1 to 1,000 or even 1 to tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands at one time. Social media allows you to do that, and this strategy gives you that leverage and attracts leads to you consistently. So let's dive in. We're going to talk about exactly how you can do this. And the very first thing is with simple local ads. So this is the fastest way to start generating leads locally using social media. And local ads are solving the core issue, which is attention, like we talked about. Because if nobody knows that you exist, they aren't going to be able to buy from you. And this is the exact same problem that I struggled with when I first started my business here about a year ago. So I've worked in social media and content creation and marketing for almost 10 years now. But when I moved to Wilmington 2 years ago, I started a brand new Instagram account. And when I started that account, nobody knew who I was. Nobody knew about this business. And the reason I started a year ago was because this is a new thing. Like social media, marketing with advertising like this was not really a huge thing at that time. Of course, people were doing it, but I was brand new. So I was just starting out in the space. And like I mentioned, nobody knew who I was. So how do you start getting clients? How do you start generating leads? Well, there's a couple ways you can do it. One is by waiting for referrals, right? You're just hoping for other people to recommend you or talk about you and just send business your way. Another way is through outreach. So you can just reach out to people cold and try to call them, try to email them, and try to sell them your services that way. Luckily for me, I never had to go that route because I had known the skill of paid advertising from previous business experiences. So that allowed me to actually leverage that skill and just start running these advertisements. So I didn't have to hope. I could just actually start targeting people and getting consistent attention from who I wanted, when I wanted, because I could just turn these ads on or turn them off at any point in time. And I knew how to target them geographically, super hyper local, so that I know they're only showing up in front of local people that are here in the area. So that's what allowed me to really help bypass that slow grind of just relying on word of mouth or relying on SEO or all these other more passive strategies that are somewhat outdated in 2025 and going into 2026. So I like to think of it as just renting digital shelf space in your city, because you're paying these platforms for the advertising and they're guaranteeing that you are showing up in front of local people wherever you target those ads. So like I mentioned, most businesses are stuck just doing that one-to-one marketing. And that's so hard to scale, because if you're not able to reach people one-to-many, you're always going to be trading your time to actually go and make that money and get those leads and get those sales. But as soon as you figure out that piece of leverage that we talked about, where you can just record one single video and then you can run that as an advertisement and you can reach tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people in your local area instantly. You can turn the ads on and now you instantly have leverage. You can spend a little bit and then your brand is just going to be showing up everywhere. So that's the leverage here. That's the tool with social media. A lot of people might think it's only for big brands and for big companies to advertise on. But what's amazing is it's actually leveled the playing field. So all these big companies, think of like Apple and Google and all these other companies out there, they are actually advertising on the same platforms. They're using Instagram, they're using social media to run advertising and promote their products on there. So this actually allows local businesses to level that playing field, because you and I both have access to the exact same tools that these businesses have and that they're using on a daily basis to promote and market themselves. So just look at the people at the top of your industry. If they're marketing in a certain way and they're using certain tools, that's probably a great indication that there is profitable advertising happening in that space. Because if these companies are dumping millions, if not billions of dollars into their advertising, and these are the platforms that they're spending it on, they wouldn't continue to do that if they weren't making a profitable return from that ad spend. So the proof is out there. I don't think I have to sell you on that. I think everybody understands that content and social media is not going anywhere. So the business owners who can adapt to that and can figure out how to use it to their advantage are going to be the ones that continue to win and to dominate going into 2026. So like I mentioned, the ads are the leverage. You don't need a huge, crazy budget. You just want to be very crystal clear in that ad. So you want to speak specifically to a specific person. And that's really going to help on the targeting side to make sure that, yes, your ads are showing in the local area, but you only want to be calling out the specific ideal client that you want to work with. So we always try to include things like who you help, how you help them, and why it actually matters to them in that ad. And like I mentioned, that's just going to ensure that you are calling out the specific person that you want to speak to and that you want to attract with your marketing. So the local ads is definitely the fastest way to start generating leads locally in your city. And let's move on here and talk about, why does content even matter? Like, what is the big buzz about content? So content is essentially the nurturing system behind your ads. And when I say content, I'm talking about the content that is on your profile. So on your Instagram profile, people will see your ads that you're running and targeting locally. And then once they see that ad, they're going to land on your Instagram profile, where they're going to then start consuming the rest of your content. And here's the big shift here that we're seeing in 2025 and going into 2026 is that people do not buy from businesses and they do not buy from logos. They are actually building trust and they're buying from people. And us as business owners, knowing this information is just making it so simple for us to actually show ourselves as a person in our content. And that's what people are going to build trust with. That's what people are going to form a relationship with. And that's what they're going to end up buying from. So just making that shift is huge. And not many people are doing that yet. So if you can be the one to do that in your industry and in your market, you're going to stand out immediately. And that's how you're really going to start getting out ahead of all these competitors. So your content is just letting people see who you actually are before they ever meet you. So again, we're talking about that leverage piece here. When people can actually discover you from an ad, and then they can just go and consume all the rest of the content on your profile, and they can actually feel like they know you and trust you before they ever speak to you in person. Keep in mind, you can be out on the beach, you can be in the office, you can be wherever you want. And at any point in time, somebody can just find your ad, they can go to your profile, they can watch all the rest of your content, and they can build a relationship with you and actually trust you to the point where they're ready to buy from you before you ever speak to them. So again, it just speaks to that leverage piece, that this is what is happening when you're creating this system with your content and with your marketing to just get people to trust you at scale. Like I mentioned, these ads are showing all the time, 24/7. At any point in time, somebody can see your ad in the middle of the night and click on your profile and just go through all your video content and watch all of it. And by the time they've consumed all that information, assuming that you have the right content and you're actually educating and providing value and just nurturing these leads in your content, you're going to build massive amounts of trust at scale, and you're going to be able to grab all of these leads and book all these appointments in and just continue to grow your business and get more sales as a result of that. So that's really what's happening here. You just want to start sharing some simple videos that are basically showing your story, talking about some client results, and just overall building trust with people. So I like to think of it from my own perspective. If I'm looking to buy a service from somebody, what are those key things in my mind that I need checked off before I say, okay, I trust this person. He's the one that I want to go with. Well, I want to see things like their personality. Like, what are their character traits like? What are their daily habits like? Like, what does this person actually do on a daily basis? Are they actually helping other people actively solve this problem right now? And if I can see all that information through their content and actually see them on camera talking about these things and actually working with other clients and helping them do the same thing, I can actually picture myself in that person's shoes just from watching the content. So it becomes a no-brainer. You're almost showing leads and showing prospects what it's going to look like to work with you before they ever even talk to you. So that's the idea behind the content, is just making people feel like they already know you. And this is so, so powerful. I've had tons of friends and tons of clients that I've worked with now, and they've all told me similar things. They've gone to events, they've gone to networking events, they've gone to company events, and they've just gone out in public And the amount of people who actively come up to them and actually initiate a conversation with them. And the first thing that they say is like, hey man, like I saw you in the video. Like just think about how impactful that is. If you were never creating content or never putting yourself out there and putting this type of content out online, people wouldn't have any reason to approach you and start a conversation with you. But now you can just go about your business and go about your day, and people will interrupt you and they will come onto your path and they will stop and talk to you simply because they've seen you in a video online. So as a business owner, you have to realize how impactful this is, because you're going to have so many more conversations that start with you as a result of just putting out content. And this has happened to myself and to also friends and clients that I've helped as well, where I almost forget that I put out so much content and posted these specific things. And when people come up to me, they'll reference specific videos like these videos here on YouTube, or even specific videos on Instagram that they've seen months ago or even a year ago now that I've posted. And they said, man, that was like super helpful what you talked about. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, wow, like I almost forgot that I even posted that. So sometimes I can actually go back and see my own journey and see, wow, like this is what I was focused on at this point in time. This is what I was learning at this point in time. And the idea there is just the leverage. It's the leverage, right? When you can create this content and you create a habit out of it, and as a business owner, you're always documenting things and not going out of your way to create it. This is content that is just documenting everything that's already happening. Like I'm already working with clients consistently. You're already talking to leads all the time. You're already going to meetings and you're going to projects. So if you can just document that while it's happening and share it with other people, it's going to help those people, it's going to nurture them, and it's going to speed up that sales process for you. But it's also going to have a impact on you and your journey and just documenting for yourself so you can go back and see how far you've come on your journey. So multiple benefits there, multiple benefits, but the content is just so important for making people feel like they already know you. So that's huge. And I want to talk about, this leads into the next thing when it comes to budget. So a lot of people will tell me, and we already touched on this briefly, that, man, I need a big budget to advertise, right? All these other companies that are advertising online, like they've got big, massive budgets, and I just don't have that budget. Well, the great thing here is that you don't need thousands to start, and there's one catch. I would say that the higher the quality of your ads and of your content, the actual lower that your cost per lead and the lower the budget that you'll need to start. Because think about it. If you're putting out top-notch, high-quality content, and everybody else in your space is either not advertising at all to begin with, or the quality of content that they are putting out is just very low, then you're immediately going to differentiate yourself and stand out just because you have high quality content. But when you pair that with an actual strategy to get that in front of the right leads and the right people, you're going to be positioned as an instant authority. People are going to say, wow, your company is professional. You guys are experts. You're the best at what you do, because your marketing and the quality of your marketing is a direct reflection of the type of clients that you're going to attract. So if you just think about that, if you're putting out low effort, just minimum quality marketing content, the type of client that you're likely to attract is going to be a low quality person. And that's not to say that's bad. It's just to say that what you put out is going to determine what you get back. So if you as a business owner have a top quality premium service and you actually market yourself and present yourself as that top quality brand, then that's the type of lead and the type of client that you're going to attract, is the person who is looking for the best quality service. They value things like experience, and they value things like a trustworthy service provider and a top quality service. And when you can represent yourself like that, people will see that and they want to work with the best. And when they want to work with the best, they expect to pay a premium price. So that's where you're no longer competing on price shoppers and trying to fight to the bottom and trying to lower your prices and undercut yourself and undercut competitors just to get jobs, because you can just position yourself as the premium option, and therefore you're going to attract premium leads and premium clients to your business. And one thing I'll say about that is that a lot of business owners will maybe have a misconception that, oh, there's too much competition at the top, right? If I want to charge the top dollar, it's going to be too hard. Like everyone else is too good. They're too competitive. That's almost what everyone else mindset is as a business owner. So believe it or not, there's less competition up at that 1% because everyone just assumes that, oh, it's too hard. That couldn't be me. Like I can't be the top quality option. If you just present yourself as that option, believe it or not, you have way less competition because no one is really willing to go after that and commit to that. So as soon as you flip that switch and say, oh yeah, that's going to be me, I'm going to be servicing the top 1% of the marketplace, you will be the one to capture it and to dominate it. So keep in mind, you do not need a crazy high budget in order to do this. We recommend even getting started with as low as say $20 to maybe $30 per day. And this is going to start getting you some local attention and some local leads. But just keep in mind, if you're selling a high ticket service, say $5,000 to even $10,000 plus, you can afford to spend a couple $1,000s to acquire a customer. Because if you're spending $2,000 to acquire a customer that's going to pay you $5,000, and you're making over a 50% profit margin from that $5,000, then you can afford to spend and literally buy customers and buy clients. And that comes back to the leverage piece, because if you know you have to spend money to make money, once you can actually track your numbers and track your metrics and see you have an actual customer acquisition cost. So you know that every time you spend, say, $2,000 to $3,000 on advertising, you will acquire a customer that's going to pay you $5,000 to $10,000. Now you're no longer making emotional decisions as to how much you should spend on your marketing. Oh, I feel like we should spend more. I feel like I should spend less. You just look at your numbers and say, it cost me $2,000 to acquire a customer. How often am I willing to go spend $2,000 to acquire a $5,000 to $10,000 customer? It's just a decision at that point. It's no longer emotional. It's very logical. You can actually see the data and see the numbers. So that's why it's so important. But just know that you can start small and just use that local targeting to really stretch your budget and ensure that you're only showing up in front of local people that can buy from you. And at this point, you're probably wondering, why do I even need advertising to begin with? Aren't referrals enough? Like, they work, they're getting me results already. The only problem with this is that referrals are great, don't get me wrong, they're just unpredictable. So there's no switch that you can flip and just turn on referrals and say, okay, I'm ready for more referrals now. Just go ahead and send them in. It's like, it doesn't work that way, right? It's out of your control. It's something that you cannot control. So in order to scale and to grow predictably, what you need is a lever that you can pull when your business actually slows down. So the ads are what is bringing more leads and more clients in, which then will actually increase your word of mouth as a result. Because as you're just getting more throughput through your system, right? You're getting more leads coming in, you're getting more clients booked in, you're doing more jobs and more services. All of those clients that you're servicing are now going to be able to go talk and spread the word about your business and give you more referrals and give you more word of mouth reach. So the best businesses, honestly, are using both. But if you're relying on just referrals as your sole growth strategy, just keep in mind you're relying on a method that is not predictable and it's outside of your control. So that's the only thing there. I'm not to say that like referrals are just not worth your time or it's not a viable option, but you actually have to build up to that. Like, you need to be able to get predictable clients to then have clients that can go refer you and go spread the word about you. So something to keep in mind there. Also, when it comes to content, why should you build an ecosystem? This is something that I really, really think will be beneficial for business owners to understand, is that you don't want to just run ads. You want to send people somewhere to actually build trust with them. So a lot of business owners that I've seen now are just running ads directly trying to sell something on the very first touch point. And the famous analogy for this, and the famous way, that my favorite way to explain this, is, would you ask somebody to marry you on the first date? Like, the very first day that you meet someone, it's your first time, your first introduction. That is essentially what your advertisement is when you're running it to cold traffic, to people who have never seen you before, and you're immediately asking them for their name, for their phone number, and their email. People's defenses are going to be up. They haven't built trust with you. They haven't built a connection. They haven't built a relationship. So they're not going to be very likely to give you that information off the very first touch point. So when you build an ecosystem like this with your local ad, you're just telling people, hey, this is my business. This is what I do. This is how I help people here in the Wilmington area. I've helped over 100 other business owners with the same exact thing, or homeowners, or whatever client that you service with your business. You're just telling them that this is who I am. This is what I do. These are all the other people I've helped. If you're interested in this sort of thing, just come follow my page. Just come check it out. Come see the rest of the content we got going on. That's all it is. That's what your advertisement is. It's just getting people that are local in your area to come to your page so they can then see the rest of your content. And that is what is building the trust with them. So keep that in mind. You can get leads, but you're not going to just retain that attention from the actual leads that you're generating unless you have a brand. So the branding is really what is getting you from that medium to large scale, because we're thinking about this long term, right? There's going to be a certain percentage of people who are absolutely 100% ready to buy as soon as they see your ad. But that percentage of people is probably this big, whereas the percentage of people who need to be nurtured and actually build trust with you and build a relationship with you until they're ready to buy is probably this big. So if you're only ever trying to capture that small percentage, yes, you can do it, but just keep in mind the cost of that is going to be way higher and it's going to be way less frequent. Whereas when you build this entire ecosystem around what you're doing, you're actually nurturing leads on a long-term basis. So you're building this ecosystem where you're always getting brand new leads coming in from your ads, and then they're always just continuously being nurtured by the rest of the content that you're posting on your profile. So this is really a short, medium, and long-term play, because again, you're gonna capture that tiny percentage that's ready to buy right now, but you're also gonna capture those people and nurture them up until the point where they are ready to buy. And luckily for you, you will end up being the one that captures that business because you've nurtured them for so long. They've seen you time and time again. They've seen your face. They've seen you show up so many times. You're going to be the first one that they think of when it comes to actually making that buying decision. So like I mentioned, the ads are bringing people in. You just want to have content on your page that actually gives them a reason to stay there. So just educate them, provide them with value. Don't try to sell right in your ads, because that's just going to turn people off and turn them defensive. So just actually lead with value and try to educate people and just help them to start. So this is great. This is building the ecosystem. Okay, how about if you're already advertising, right? So most business owners are missing that branding component like we talked about. So they get leads, but they aren't actually capturing that attention and holding on to it. So if they turn the ads off, that's it. It's like there's no leads, there's no ecosystem, there's no reason for them to stay and actually continue to get nurtured by you and your business. So with the branding, that's what's getting you from that medium to the large scale, like I talked about. So just think about Instagram as your brand hub. It's just getting people in, it's getting them to stay there, and it's just going to multiply the results of your ads. Because again, everyone's going to buy on a different time frame. Some people are ready today, some people are ready tomorrow, some people are ready next month or next year. But as long as you have this system set up, you're going to be able to capture all of those types of people with your advertising and with your marketing. So when we're coming to the end here, I just want to talk about the one piece of advice for local business owners at this point in time is really just start documenting your journey. Right? If you're relying on some luck or some outdated strategies, just build a brand around the face behind the business. So if you're a bigger business, it can be your face as the founder. But if you plan to sell eventually, just put other people's faces in the business. Just get them into the content. The whole idea is really just building trust with people. And when you're only showing finished jobs and you're only showing B-roll videos with no one actually on the camera, there's nothing for the person on the other side of that to actually build a relationship and build trust with. So the idea here is just showing a face and showing your voice and actually making that the brand and making that the face of the brand so that people actually have something to connect to. So that's the key differentiator here. Like I mentioned, not a lot of people are doing that. So as soon as you do that in your industry, you're just going to instantly stand out. Another thing is just not to sell your services only. You want to sell yourself and who you are as a person, because that's what people actually resonate with. That's what they connect with. And believe it or not, buying oftentimes is an emotional decision, depending on the price range and the value of the service that you're providing. So when you can just ask anybody and logically shop around and look for prices and see what you're going to get out of a service, that's one thing. But when you can actually tap into the emotional psychology of people and just actually connect with them and build a relationship with them and just be a person that they actually like to be around or that they enjoy to talk to. You just make them feel good after you interact with them or after you talk with them. That's going to leave an impact on people. That's what's going to lead to more referrals and more word of mouth and just more people talking about you overall. But if you're only trying to sell your services, people can clearly see that it's a one-sided relationship. You are just trying to sell them on something and then that's it. Whereas if you just sell them on who you are as a person, who you are as a business owner, as a husband, as a family member, as a whatever you are, just sell them on who you are as a person, and it's going to make the working relationship just way more natural. So you're not going to end up with a ton of clients who are just looking for a transaction and who just want to get that service and just be done with it. You're going to actually have lasting relationships here that are going to lead to more referrals and more word of mouth down the road, just like I mentioned. So keep in mind, these are local people. When you're running these local advertisements, you're showing up in the local area. So you're going to be getting in front of local people. So just keep that in mind. Just be relational. Don't be strictly transactional when it comes to your marketing and to your messaging. Just actually provide value to people and just show them who you are and actually help them. So this is just going to ensure that you are actually retaining your brand equity, even if you do sell the business, because now your business is built off of a solid foundation and not just a sales foundation that will turn people off. So if you're in this for the long run, branding is going to be everything. Put a face to your business and just document your journey, because you'll be able to look back on it. You'll be able to show other people, help other people, nurture all these leads. There's just endless benefits as a result of this. So if this was helpful for you, if this is something that you want some help with actually implementing into your business, just click the first link down in the description down below. And if you aren't ready for that and you want to see how local businesses are actually attracting clients to them right now using this similar strategy, just click the video on the screen right here and you can check that out.